verse 19. It's the story of the rich man and Lazarus. I know there are two Lazaruses in the Bible. I was just meditating on that, by the way. There's a Lazarus with the rich man who was sick and had sores, and there was the Lazarus that Jesus raised from the dead, the friend to Jesus. So today we are talking about the story of Lazarus and the rich man. So I'm going to read from the book of Luke, chapter 16, from verse 19. Luke chapter 16 from verse 19. So I'm using the New King James Version. So it says, there was a certain rich man who was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. But there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, full of sores, who was laid at his gate, desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. Verse 22, so it was that the beggar died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. So I think I'm going to stop from there, but in your own time you can continue and just read how the experience was for Lazarus in heaven and for the rich man in hell. So today my topic is rather a short topic, but I'm going to talk about burdens. The burden of the Lord upon his children. So one thing about the rich man and Lazarus. Do you know these people, their lives, or rather their destinies, the burdens that God had placed on each person's life, on the rich man's life and on Lazarus's life, they were intertwined. That is why when Lazarus died, the rich man also died. Why? Because his assignment on earth was now over. The rich man's assignment on earth was Lazarus. The rich man, God had destined for the rich man, to be a burden bearer, to extend his hand, to extend his riches, his help towards Lazarus. Or rather, maybe the Lord had given the rich man maybe a ministry, maybe a mercy ministry to help the poor or the people in need, or the people who especially maybe who are combated with sickness and they don't have any way out. Like this was a ministry that the Lord had placed. So in this context, it is like a form of, let me use it, it is like a parable, inside this story. It's not just about any rich man and just Lazarus lying out on his gate, outside the gate of the rich man. No, it's God is revealing to us there is more. Jesus just used this story to reveal a very great thing. The rich man had a ministry. There is something that God placed in him which he was supposed to do. And when that time for that thing came to pass, when Lazarus died, when his assignment died, or when his assignment ended, now the rich man had no other thing to do on earth. The Lord had not assigned him any other thing, and so he also died. So one thing, as human beings, we may think that I'm going to talk about 2 points. There's one phrase whereby someone may think, we're always praying for long life and all that, but sit down and ask yourself, is there a burden that the Lord has shared with you that you are supposed to be doing upon this earth right now? Because as much as human beings, we may have enemies, and then we're like, Jesus said, pray for your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. What did Jesus mean when he said that? Because he meant, in a larger picture, that might be the ministry that the Lord has called you in this earth to do. And so the moment you stop even praying for that enemy, the moment you stop helping, extending that needy, the help to the needy person, then it means you have fallen out of your purpose on this earth. And the Lord can decide. So now you have decided, you yourself as a human, you have removed yourself from the purpose of God. So what next? You will need to come out of this earth because there's no other purpose you are serving. Every person in this earth has a purpose. Ask yourself, what is it? And not only everyone, even including me, what is it that the Lord has placed in us? What ministry, what burden? Because God has a burden. He has burdens. And he releases these burdens to his children. He releases it to many, many people. And it is those who are keen, those who are sensitive in the spirit, they will be able to, you know, to perceive these burdens and take up on it and act on it. Because this story, it is not just about the rich man and Lazarus. It's about the burden, or rather the destiny that Lord had placed on the rich man. This rich man was not just rich because of just eating and enjoying life. No, the Lord did not clothe him with purple linen and all that just for him to enjoy life. No, his riches was to help the poor. His riches was to fill a gap somewhere. But then the rich man never did that. He never filled that gap. That is why when Lazarus died, his assignment ended and he also died. Because if there was no other assignment for the rich man to do, if there was another assignment for the rich man to do, if he had taken up that burden of helping maybe Lazarus, it will be a ministry inside of him, and you will find that he will be able even to maybe live a longer life on earth, because he will be able to fulfill the purposes, the burdens of God. That is his destiny. Like, life is spiritual. We are not on earth just for the sake of living and enjoying life and getting married and bringing children, and getting old and working and building houses, buying land. Life is more than that. God knew, yes, all these things will come. But why does He tell us to seek His kingdom first and His righteousness, and all these things will follow? It's because before, I want you to imagine, all of us, we have come from heaven. God has created us from His manufacturer's room. And then He's like, I am sending you, my daughter, my son, I am sending you on earth. And I'm sending you on this assignment. So, tafadhali, when you reach earth, don't wander away from what I've sent you to do. So I think this date has just been heavy on me. Let's inquire of the Lord. Which burden has the Lord placed upon your lives? As we are praying for Chuka meeting, is there a burden that the Lord has shared for you to intercede? Because at times the Lord may not necessarily tell everyone, pray for this, but He will pick people. He will pick one person and tell them, intercede. You'll just find you're having a burden. Intercede for maybe security. Another one, intercede for finances. Another person, intercede for the journey masses, the welfare of each and every person that will come to the meeting. God, he shares his burdens. Another one will tell you, intercede for the people in the church, maybe who are suffering. Intercede for encounter members, maybe for those who are not able to share whatever it is they're going through, but people are going through a lot. Intercede. So tonight I want us to take up this thing of burdens and inquire of the Lord. Ask of the Lord, Lord, what is it that you have created me to do upon this earth? And Lord, you joined me to encounter ministry. What is the burden? What is the burden that you want me to be interceding for? What is the gap that you want me to fulfill or to fill in the encounter ministry? And I believe the Lord will communicate, and He will show you where you are supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, this is a very powerful word. So tonight I want us to focus our prayer on the burdens of the Lord. Let us share in His burdens. Let us open our hearts. Let us repent and tell God, we repent because we have been ignorant of inquiring, what is your burden, Lord? What is it that you want us to do as individuals concerning the ministries that you want us to do, concerning intercession? Because there are things which God requires us to do, but it's like we are wandering away. Ni kama tunaangalia kando. We are not looking at what He wants us to do. Yeah, so our word today is on burdens. Let us share the burdens of God. Let us inquire of the Lord as individuals. Lord, what burden have you placed upon us? Which gap are we supposed to be filling on this earth? And as much as it is on this earth, we are not on encounter ministry mistakenly. Ask God, Lord, you joined me here for a purpose. Which gap am I supposed to be filling? What am I supposed to be doing? Aside maybe from just, interceding in the watches, there is something, maybe there's a ministry the Lord has placed in you. And the Lord will begin like a seed. That seed will begin germinating and growing. And with time, you can be able now to stand out and, come out with a ministry in a big way. It might be a ministry of, maybe the Lord might be using you to redeem marriages. There's another one, the Lord might be using you for the sake of children. The same way we see, like the way Minister John really has a heavy ministration concerning children. Yeah, that one is a burden that the Lord shared with him concerning children, and he's fulfilling it, because each time when he talks about the interceding for the children, that is a burden the Lord shared with him. So each person, there is a burden that the Lord wants you to stand in that gap. And when we all stand in the gaps that God has called us to be, when we work together, everything will work together for the good, because we will be one body with one mission, one vision, and we'll be able to stand against the wiles of the enemy. Yeah, so our prayer today will be focused on uh seeking the Lord, and inquiring of him which burden does the Lord want us to do or intercede upon for the Chuka physical meeting. Because as much as we are praying for it, I believe the Lord will share burdens to people. It may be the same, it may be different. What does the Lord want us to intercede for in the Chuka physical meeting? What does he want us to, to pray about, to seek him about, to intercede for more, or rather to pray more on which specific issue? So today, let's gear our prayer towards the inquiring of the Lord. And I believe he's going to answer, because he's not a dead God. He's a living Father. He's the Lord who answers by fire. He is mighty. He's the Lord who spoke to the Israelites. Paka watu wakaogopa. They told Moses, go and speak to God on our behalf, and we will listen to you. That is how mighty God is. Yeah, so I think we can just let me sing a chorus as we just usher in the presence of God to stand for what gap to fill in the spirit. Then it will be collective as encounter ministry. So let me just sing our worship song, and then we can just usher the presence of God.